Hello everybody. In the last session we saw that how you can create your own classroom, how you can ask your students to join your classroom. We also have seen in the last session how you can actually create various types of assignments. We also have seen in the last session, you can also watch my earlier videos on how to create assignment, how to create multiple choice question or a quiz assignment. In this session, we will see what is the purpose of using just question. Just like when you take a class and you suddenly ask a question to your students and students raise their hand, they answer. Similarly, a question can also be posted while you're taking a lecture, or maybe after you finish your lecture, you can post a student. You can post the questions to the student. I apologize. So what happens is, let's say after a lecture, you just post one question saying that which company do you think have done a great work in digital marketing? You can just post this question as a short answer, or you can post the question as a multiple choice, but since this is a question post your lecture, it's better to be as a short answer. And you can post this for all the students. If necessary, give a point or just leave it. Give a due date, maybe same date. Student can of course reply to each other and student can edit the answer. If you see here in my earlier sessions, when we create assignments, the assignments is actually posted as something called as create an assignment, whereas here I see that it is just changing into an ask mode, which means that this will be a question which will be asked. Students will instantly reply their answers and then turn in. So this is more of a instant question format which can be used. Now let's also see, once we have created an assignment, let me go to an assignment, and let's say that I want to see all the grades of my students. So when you open up an assignment, on your left hand side you see all the students and you can actually grade them, and on the right hand side as a thumbnail you can see all the students answers which appears on your right hand side. Now the advantage of seeing all those information in one screen is that you can actually mark the students and then save this as a separate file which can be used to upload your marks for your university and college requirement. Now, why is this question marked in a draft mode? The reason behind that is, once you click on any question answer sheet of a student, you can actually give a mark straight away for that student, but then the system keeps it in a draft mode for only one simple reason, is that you have not sent the question paper back to the student for him to look at his marks or maybe some comments which you have added. Having said that, by keeping it in a draft mode is of a good importance. Why? Because A is that you have all the marks which you have created. It's not necessary that you have to show all the marks to the student as soon as the test is over, and you may have to post these marks in your university or a college portal, which will then publish the marks. So one of these ways can be used particularly when you want to evaluate student marks in your Google Classroom. Now let's look at another assignment, and I will show you how you can schedule the assignments for future. Let's say I create an assignment and give a name as next week assignment. You can enter the instructions which you feel. You can attach the file which you want to give this for this assignment from your file, or maybe from a Google Drive. You can also create your own file as a Google Doc, presentation slides, or an Excel sheet. Now, once you have attached a document, then you have a small arrow mark button out here. This is the arrow mark button which is basically used for scheduling any of your assignments. So this arrow mark button and the due date button out here, these two are the most important part when you want to schedule your assignment for the future or maybe for next week. When I click on this arrow mark down here, I have the option to schedule. So when I click on schedule, I can give a future date for this assignment. I can give a time when the assignment is going to start, and I can create a schedule for this assignment. Now, once the schedule is created, the assignment goes on onto my stream, which says that there is a assignment which is scheduled for the date, which is 5th of May at 8 a.m. Now, I have of course given a scheduled date to start, but I have forgotten to give a due date. So you can actually re-edit this. You can go back to that assignment, click on the due date and time. So there is no due date mentioned. I give the date as 5th, and the time, I again give this time as, let's say, 9 a.m. Now, once you have scheduled a test which is on 5th of May at 8 a.m., the student will get the information in that stream only on 5th of May, that too at 7:45 a.m. or maybe a little after that. They will not be informed of any schedule which has been designed for the future before that. The schedule will open up only at the specific time. So by this, you can actually schedule the test for a future date. That is what the schedule feature is all about. Now we will also go and see how I can take an online class. Let's say that I want to do a video session with my students. How can I do that? If you see in your Google Classroom, you have something called as Google Calendar. Now when you click on Google Calendar from the Google Classroom, you can actually create a calendar date for taking your classes. More important is, on your left hand side, you see that there are a lot many calendars. So for each class, there is a calendar which is automatically checked out here, which means that if I check the calendar on my left hand side, which means that I'm selecting the class out here. So when I select my class and I say that this is the class which I'm selecting, and I'm scheduling a calendar video lecture for my students, means that only the students who are present in this particular class will get the calendar invite. So I have selected the innovation class, then I uncheck all my other calendars, and I create a class for video lecturing. So let's say I want to create it for 1 p.m. Now here I just call this as IMC lecture. I decide the date. If I want to add a guest who are not there in my list of my students, I can add a guest. Now when it comes to add conferencing, now the add conferencing is basically which Google uses Hangout for doing video conferencing. So by default, Hangout is selected. For which class this lecture has been designed, as I said that I've selected innovation both on my left hand side as well as out here. There is a more options button. So when I click on this more options, it helps me to give a little more detailed information, whether the session is going to be for all the day or this just for 1 hour, the way it is scheduled on the top. If I want to give any location, I can give. Any notifications which is mandatory can be given. Now when I say add notification, it says that the notification will be notified 10 minutes before the session starts. If that is good enough, we'll just leave the notification part out here. And second is that I also have on my right hand side what are the guests can do with particular calendar, whether I want the guest to invite others or I want the guests to see the list. You can actually check and do this. Once I've finished creating my calendar, I click on save. Having said that, my schedule for the lecture has been saved. So when I click on this lecture, at the time when the lecture is going to start, I can click on Join Hangouts. Clicking on Join Hangouts opens up the video call. As it says here, you're the first one to enter into your conference. So once I click on Join Hangout, I start getting into my video conferencing or video lecturing with my students. I see a panel of settings out here. So when I click on this panel of settings, it just opens up to check how my microphone is working and my speakers are working. It also has a bandwidth check, which is also nice to know that how much of bandwidth is going to be utilized both for my outgoing videos and incoming videos. As a best practice, I always recommend the student to switch off their videos, and I just open up the video from my side for the students. And if it is a presentation lecture, then I also recommend not to switch on the video, just do a screen share, and that will be good enough and which will not consume too much of bandwidth space. Once I click on Join Hangout, I just enter into my camera, and that's how I can start my lecture. And of course, once the lecture starts, and you also have an option which actually pops up to say that would you like to do a screen share. I will actually show you in the next session how you can do a screen share in Hangout while taking your lectures. So this completes the scheduling part of your assignments as well as doing a video lecture using Google Classroom. Thank you very much.